After installing the reverse planning app, you can try to use the Move Demand Date functionality that works out of the box just by entering the Move Demand Date journal in here. And this journal is meant to figure out demands that you need to move because you cannot supply it. So when the supply doesn't get better, and this is why we actually named the reverse planning, because it does opposite MRP planning. So when the purchaser says it doesn't get better, we need to move something. I'm trying here on location production, and I know my data in here, which says that we only have 2 items, and it actually says replenish items. And this means we cannot move it because we don't have anything to move from. So if I'm looking at my graphical profile, which is a small helping tool free on AppSource, on either of those items in here, I can see that we have an inventory of 0, and we have some sales order here, and the same with the other ones. So basically I have nothing to move because this is all items that we have no supplies for. So those will be grabbed in a normal simple MRP planning, and we need to create some supplies. So let's try to make a scenario where something happens. First of all, I want to show you here that my reverse planning worksheet is empty in here, and I want to show you that my sales order handling journal in here, it's also empty. So all the journals are empty, and when I calculate, we only got those 2 lines. So what I'm doing now is I'm triggering some calculation. So as a planner now, I'm happy. I can go home and take a little nap until the purchaser here on an item, this item 1155, if you look at the graphical profile for that item, I'm using graphical inventory profile. We have here 1 supply, a purchase order on the 12th of May, quantity 35. And we have a production order that uses this component. So let's try to imagine the vendor calling us saying this is going to be delayed. So we can open the purchase order either from here, or you can find it in your Business Central. You can open it here from graphical inventory profile. And let's take the second line on for that specific item here and say instead of the 12th of May, it will arrive 1 week later on the 19th of May. So this is what we call it doesn't get better on the purchase side. Now a classic MRP would just suggest to move this line back on the 12th of May, of course, but the point is that it doesn't get better and we need to do something. And this could affect all the complete low-level hierarchy. So items up through the hierarchy could be affected by this. So if we calculate just like before, so just moving demand dates, everything is the same. We would expect it to have now supplies, at least the production order that uses this component, that needs to be moved. We still have the 2 items in the middle here that you saw before because they're the same issue, but now we need to move a lot of stuff here. So the first one is on item number 1150. We need to move that from the 14th of May till the 1st of August 25. And that's actually because my due date in here, if I go into my settings, the due date is as of today. So maybe we should try to manipulate this a little to make a better example. Let me just do that, because it would say you couldn't move anything until before due date. Sorry about that. Let me try again. Move demand dates. I would expect it to move it according to the 1 week that we moved everything in here. So now it says move it from 14th of May, this production order, till the 22nd of May. And if we want to know what did happen here, we could click on the view supply changes up here, the action, and we could see it's because you have an item number here that we recognize. And if I scroll right, I can see, further right, I can see here the due date was originally this one on my firm plan production order, and the new due date that it suggests is on the 20th of May because it's probably a weekend on the 19th, so there's a safety lead time. And likewise, I can scroll up through the hierarchy because the first item in my front up is part of my second item the front wheel. So if I look at that supply changes, it's because of my front hub that we saw just on top of it. So thereby, this is all my consequences in here. So if I want to handle all of this in one go, I could change action message, say yes. And it didn't, of course, select the to replenish stuff because there's nothing to move. Now, some of those lines here are production orders and some of those are sales orders in the source type. It could also have been assembly orders and transfer orders. So when I carry out actions, I would expect all that can handle in standard MRP journals to go into the planning worksheet, and I'd expect all the other stuff to go into my sales order handling because we don't have a default worksheet for handling movements of sales orders. So the sales order handling worksheet says that sales order number with this source number, line number, whatever here, item number, whatever over here. If you scroll right, you need to move it from this date in May till this date in June. And if you look at the reverse planning worksheet that it also opened, it says you need to reschedule those 4 that we could recognize from original due date here to new due date over here. So thereby the move date functionality only affects or only create rescheduling lines in the planning worksheet, but only rescheduling lines. So this is how to run the move order date. You could try it in your database right now, just after putting in the app. It should work out of the box.